There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment, and here we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. We got a great show for you today. Well, Rochelle, I got to say, we've had a great day, haven't we?
Yes, we have. We've been inspired and we've been motivated. We've talked about heavy subjects that have brought light to some of our lives. And then we're ending it with Jennifer Gligoric here with us today. Her website is superclinicproject.com. Go visit that. She's going to tell us all about what that means. But first, Jennifer, thank you for being here with us to end this amazing and so powerful Wednesday. How are you?
I am just really happy to be here, and I'm happy to be the last one on the hump day because I'm going to hopefully get you energized for whatever your Wednesday night has in stock for y'all.
Yes.
Well, I have to tell you, my Wednesday night is I'm in Seattle and the Mariners are in the playoffs.
Woohoo!
Their game 3 is tonight. And so I'm looking forward to that. But I'm more looking forward to talking with you about everything that you do, which is really pretty substantial. The Super Clinic Project, I love the name of that, by the way, is really cool because what you are all about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what you are all about is helping clinics become better than they were, to really become successful at being able to help people and to grow their clinic and to make it successful. Would I be wrong in any of that?
No, that's exactly what I do. We turn regular clinic owners into super clinic owners, and I help healthcare professionals, but I also work with anybody with service-based businesses. It's all about service. People who want to put a value out into the world, and they're passionate about it, and they want to get paid for it. So, yeah.
You mean you can put passion out into the world and get paid for it too?
Yeah. Like, what if you're a florist and you just want to bring color to the entire world? Yeah. Well, there's ways to do that. You just have to be an ethical entrepreneur. And once you realize what that really means, then the sky's the limit. I still believe in the old-fashioned American dream, right? Where everybody has a purpose. And once you find that purpose, you just double down on it. And that makes your life so much more worthwhile.
Some people might say that an ethical entrepreneur is a conflict in terms. I don't think that's the case because most of the time an entrepreneur is really passionate about what they do, but they don't know how to do it all because nobody does. Would that be right?
Oh, yeah. Nobody knows how to do everything. You just got to find your little niche. In fact, you need to figure out where you are in the world. What trips people up is they become an entrepreneur or they think they have to because they need to make money, right? And that's, well, I don't care. I can do anything. They're really smart. They're very talented. I can do anything. But they never stop to think about what they should be doing. Like, where is their real center of purpose? Everybody has one. Right? Everybody has some purpose. I want to clean the environment and I'm going to be a garbage man or whatever. And if you've ever been through a garbage strike anywhere on the planet, then you understand that they're probably one of the most valuable people in town because within a week you get disease, you get, really bad things that happen. Right. So it doesn't matter who you are. There's a purpose for you and you just got to learn to love it. Right. Because then you'll be in your zone. Some people are accountants. I don't want to be an accountant. I'm not like into the crunching the numbers, but I know people who are like, they're totally into that. And there's a way to do that that's ethically good and where they're really helping other people make sense of numbers in their life. And we need that, we need you, whoever you are, there's something you're going to bring to the table. And so when it comes to service-based owners, I help them figure out what that is, figure out how to track it so that they can succeed and be good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, because if there's garbage all around, it's rats. Why did it have to be rats?
smell and awful. And it's just, and you don't realize it. I mean, really, I guess some people start to realize, those net zero people who really think about reusing everything and doing everything. And my hats are off to them, because there really is a lot of waste, no matter who you are, where you are, and the people that take care of it. I'm sorry. I'm very grateful.
Well, speaking of starting, where did this journey start for you?
Well, out of necessity. So I started out of necessity. So I have an interesting story. When I grew up, if you looked at my family, you'd think that I had a silver spoon in my mouth, right? Like, that's how I grew up. However, during my tween whatever years, and then later, I ended up being a homeless teenager. And so I went to college being homeless, right? And I learned to be scrappy. And I also learned a couple of superpowers during that time. I went through some emotional things. I became very angry for a while. Like, why is this happening to me? I'm a good person and I didn't deserve these things, and blah, 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 blah. And I got sick of myself, because my base personality is actually pretty positive. Some people don't have that, and they struggle a lot harder. I realized that that's a real positive benefit that I'm very grateful for, is that my baseline is, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. Right. And so I learned how to get out of that. And I share that when I can with people. And then I had another superpower. And before my mother got sick, and she's been sober for over 30 years now, but there was a time that she was quite abusive. She was a monster. Right. And awful, but she was an incredible business person. She had a staffing agency for over 54 years. And she did that at a time where women didn't own businesses. She had her business name that she eventually legally changed her name to. I mean, I'm so grateful, from the grace of God in Alcoholics Anonymous, that I have a relationship with my mother, and I love it. And I feel grateful she's my mother. There were a long time I was not grateful, because it was so brutal, But one of the things before she got sick is I would go to work. I would go to her office, and I would set people up for their spelling and typing tests. This is back in the day when that's what happened. When you went to a staffing firm, it was an IBM Selectric, and it was really funny, because the ladies, they would come in, they would have a bouffant hairdo and usually a cigarette. This is when people smoked and drank at work. It was a lot better and fun. I will tell you, it was a lot more fun. And they'd sit there and they'd get their cigarette ready, and they'd wait for me to set everything up. And then they get their margins. This was back in the day that if you wanted to bold a letter, you would have to type the letter, backspace, and type it again. Okay. And these women could do that 75, 80 words a minute, all manual. They'd put the cigarette in, they'd light it. And then my job was just going, I bet you that ash is going to fall. And it never did. They would do the whole thing, and they would just puff the whole time. They were amazing, those ladies. They were so amazing. But I also listened to the interviews, and the power of having a job, and the fear of men and women when they could not provide, and how much of our self-esteem as people was tied to what we did every single day, and how these people would talk to my mother when she would interview them, and how it was important. That's their life. That was the majority of the day. That is how they identified as their value. Right. And so it made a big impression on me. And it also gave me a lot of skills that I didn't realize until I had used those skills for years. And I finally went, oh, she gave those skills to me. I had to forgive her first before I could even recognize that or give her props for that. But I went into sales. She was a great salesperson. I got that from her. And also too, when you're homeless and going into sales, when they're good sales, like telemarketing sales, that's my first foray into actually making money that could get me out of where I was. I just sucked up every opportunity until I knew there was no place else for me to go. And I ended up at a steel company where it was a bad boss. He punched holes in the walls. He fired the entire staff and left me and his 26-year-old son in charge of a steel company. And he promised us thousands of dollars worth of raises. Hey, guys, I got to go get forgings in India. Left us, and it's just us two. And then hundreds of people in the steel shop. And we broke every record. In the 3 months he was gone, I learned how to do accounting, which was a system called ACPAC, which is before Peachtree. This is how old it is. Not to age myself, but I'm not a spring chicken. And then I had to do the sales, and I had to do all the other stuff. And when he came back, he just gave us business cards with a title. None of the money. And he bought a new house, and he goes, but this new house, I'll invite you over and you can have parties here. I'm sorry, I need money. I quit on the spot, and so did his son. And then after that, I ended up in a consulting role. What did they want is office manager. And I was really pretty smart, and I had saved a little bit, not much, but I had, like 3 roommates. So I only needed to save a little bit. And I ended up getting a job as this office manager / consultant. And I started making my own business cards, and I started becoming what I became for almost 20 years, which was a crisis intervention consultant for businesses and also doctors. I would do physician turnaround. So it was a long haul. And a good chunk of it was helping people scale remote only businesses before COVID, before it was cool. And now I'm here, and I'm really, really happy with what I do, because I get to do my jam every single day.
That's exciting. Rochelle?
Yeah, I love how you say get to do my jam, because everybody's got their own little thing, right? And it makes me think about, where did it go with the clinic? Because you could have worked with so many people. You could have worked with entrepreneurs. You could have worked with big business owners that needed to you had that first experience. You worked with somebody who would seem as the man, he's got it all put together. He's got his business, he's got this. And then you're behind the scenes actually pushing and pulling all the strings with his son. Was it when you walked away from that experience that you realized more of what could be done and how you could help in that situation? Or was there something else that happened in some sort of clinic type of thing where you were like, this is what needs that attention?
Well, rage propelled me through making all my decisions. I'll tell you, it was sheer. Okay. I raged out. That little rage face.
Oh, I know.
Guy who flips the table. That was it. That was. There was no thought. I was like 26 then. There was no thought. It was like, F you. You can take it and shove these business cards right up through the keister, right? I was mad. But no, after that, I ended up, the job I had was healthcare adjacent, right? And then I ended up being a pharmaceutical rep for a while, and I met tons of doctors. And I realized very quickly that they are taught to be doctors, but they have no idea how to run their business. So as I rep, I would go in and just, get little bits of time. Of course, I'm trying to, get people air to, so they can breathe. I did, mostly albuterol, ibupropium, Zopanex was another big one. And then liquid O2. That was the big one, because that's just an incredible product for people who are on concentrators. And I won't give you my sales pitch for that, but it's an incredible thing. It saves a lot of lives. And then, I started really listening to them. Oh God, this week, this, and it's usually staff or something else. And I was like, I've got a lot of experience in staffing and recruiting, and I did headhunting for a while. In fact, I was headhunter of the year 9 times in my first year with management recruiters when I did it. And I'd worked a ton of different jobs, just being voracious with just moving up. As soon as I realized I couldn't get more, I would go somewhere else. I was not afraid. I leapt off of every single bridge, good or bad, that I could, to try to level up, because I knew that I was in a big hole. Most people have family, they have networks. I hadn't have that at that time. So I had to be fearless. And then in the conversations with doctors, I started helping them more and more. And they would say, hey, Dr. Bob over here, he's having an issue with that. What would you do for that? And I said, well, I tell you what, let me talk to him. I'll tell him exactly what I do. Yeah. And then that's how it positioned. But you have to, when you're hungry and need it, you need to have conversations. So the first thing you can do if you're broke is start talking to people, real people. And even if it's Zoom now, and think to yourself ahead of time, I'm going to have a conversation, and I'm going to think ahead and map this out of all the different things that can happen in this conversation. So one, I could decide I never want to talk to this person again. I hate them. That's an outcome. Two, I like them. They're okay. And, or we might be friends. This person might be able to give me referrals. This person knows a ton of people. So they may end up knowing somebody that I can either partner with or sell one of their products or, do a joint venture with, or maybe I can refer them business. And then at the very end of the line, this is someone I can sell. Most people only go straight to, are you going to buy what I need?
Yep.
They forget about all the other relationships that you can have with that person. And so if you are talking to someone, you need the business, you're going to talk to them about all of it, right? And you're going to figure out what categories you might want to follow up with. And then you follow up like heck with them. You let them know that conversation was important to you. And you just don't go home and go, I handed out a bunch of business cards and I talked to this one guy and he said he was interested. And then I'm never going to follow up with him again. That's not going to make you any money. And there's no way AI can do that for you. You have to really love what you're doing. So if you don't like what you're really doing, you're going to be miserable. You can force yourself to have these conversations, but you're not going to be happy. And we've all met rich, miserable people, and they're awful.
They're horrible. They don't even care about themselves. I'm like, are you okay?
I mean,
do you want to talk about it?
Whatever, Yeah. Like maybe not difficult that. Yeah.
So Jennifer, I've got to ask you because you
Kevin,
were a homeless teenager.
So
you're right. Let me do this. Let me do this, and then we'll come back. And then I gotta ask you. You're a driven woman. How'd you get to be such a driven woman? And we'll be right back after this.
They gave her crowns, but never freedom. They gave her titles, but never peace. The Girl of Many Crowns is the story of Judith of Francia, a woman born into power, yet bound by duty. In an age ruled by kings and scarred by war, she found her strength not in her throne, but in her heart. This is a story of courage, love, and the fight to be free when the world told her she couldn't be. Step into her journey, feel her fire, and see how one woman's choices change the course of history. The Girl of Many Crowns, available now on Amazon Books, Kindle, Amazon Audiobooks, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and BookBaby Bookshop. Order your copy today.
And welcome back. We are talking with Jennifer and Brachelle can give us her last name. Are you there, Brachelle?
We have Jennifer, and it is pronounced. She said it is okay. We have permission. If you don't understand, Gligoric does work, but professionally, her name is Jennifer. Gligoric is how it is pronounced. And she has an amazing website, which is under the superclinicproject.com, which is what we're talking about now. And Kevin, I will let you continue on to your question about how she is such an empowered and feisty woman, but has also taught people to carry those qualities in a respectful manner. Because Jennifer, I'll tell you what, I'm 26. As you said earlier, I am in that mode. And I love that you said that because it wasn't phrased as a negative. And I think a lot of people say, well, if I'm going to go after this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to be that person, they become very angry, but they're rude on the inside. So I'm going to let Kevin follow up with his question because it's going to take us into quite an explanation.
Well, you have, even though you were a homeless teenager and your mom had her issues and stuff, but you have always been driven, it appears to me, through college. Then because you were homeless when you went to college, that's kind of unheard of, and stuff. So you've worked really hard at it. Is this something that you were that was born with you, or was there a moment in time when you were able to rise to the challenges that you faced in life? Because I don't know if you know, but we all have challenges that we are faced with in life. It's how you decide to handle them to come out the other side. I'm curious to know how you did that, because boy, did you come out the other side.
Well, it's interesting. I think that I got a lot from my mom. And at one time, if I would have said that, I would have been very negative. I would have held so much resentment. It would have been just poisoning me from within. But now I see who she was and her story. And it's like, yeah, she, I got it from her. I'm going to say it was in my DNA, but we have our own crosses to bear. And she had her own cross to bear. And it is how we get through that, but it's not so easy because it is our cross to bear, and we make a lot of choices, right? Life is not happening to us, life is happening for us. And we have tremendous agency on how we are able to answer that call, right? And so I think about, the college. Covenant House is the shelter that I would stay at when I could. They would have limits, so you could stay like a couple of weeks and then they'd kick you out. A couple of weeks and then they'd kick you out, right? And that's just because how the funding and everything else worked then. But they did have counselors there, and I met incredible people, and I met not so incredible people. And so, that helped me. And also seeing kids and families who would drop off their kids because they didn't want their kids to go to the adult shelters, and listening to their story. It's pretty motivating when the kids are telling you things like, yeah, we had a house, and then like this series of events happened and now they were homeless. And it's terrifying to say, but losing everything is not as hard as most people probably think it is. We are not as secure as you think you are. No one. There are incredibly wonderful middle-class people right now that are living in caravans outside the house that now some foreign investor owns in California.
Exactly.
And you want to think, well, that can't happen to me. And it's a self-protective mechanism, right? Oh, that can't happen to me because I'm a good person and I don't do drugs and I don't do all this stuff. And yeah, it can. Bad things happen. People get sick. People get car wrecks and then get debilitating pain. I know I've worked with pain management doctors and anesthesiologists and orthopedics, and had people come in that you would think they were drug addicts. But it all stemmed from a wreck, and they were just not given enough care. And then when they get on the right care, which usually involves morphine, long acting and short acting, and really working with them, they come to the other side and you're like, I can't believe you're the same guy. You came in here, just rambling. Can I get these meds? And you had this list of meds that you need to get. And I'm not even going to come here if the doctor doesn't give me these medicines. And now you're like calm. You've taken a shower. Your clothes are clean. And it's only because you'd been given the wrong ones and not really treated, right? And these are all good people, workers, right? So a lot can happen.
Well, and your point is well taken, because I was an assistant manager in a restaurant and wasn't getting paid that much, didn't have any savings, and my roommate moved out suddenly, and I had to move out. Now, had I not had family in the area who could support me, I would have been in my car as a full-time working 60-hour-a-week manager of a restaurant. And so it can happen to anybody at any time.
It does. And I was a church secretary for a while, a very large church. And of course, there's a big charity with that church. And most of the people that the church helped were people who were workers. But something happened like that. There was usually an illness. The husband got sick. The lawyers took the money instead of them getting the money. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen. So we need a lot of grace with people. And we also need a lot of mental health care. That didn't happen with me, but that's something I'm passionate about. We need more institutions and people to get the healthcare they need. I experienced extreme poverty in a way that most people will never experience. I've literally went days and days without food until I got sick. I remember, I think I might have told y'all this in the pre-interview, but like one of the things that made me get fired is not just my mom, but seeing the other people and how quickly, if you are not motivated, you don't do anything, how it can go bad. That's pretty motivating for me. It's not a good motivator because it's stress and terror and worry, right? But also like little things. I was so hungry, and I was pregnant at the time. I forgot to say that. I'm pregnant and homeless. Yay, as a team. Yeah, I made great decisions being homeless. And It was A1A in Fort Lauderdale. They had a Howard Johnson's, and then they would have like a Hojo diner, like a Denny's in the front of it. And I sat there hating the guts of everyone eating. There's just families on vacation. It's Fort Lauderdale, and they're all eating. And I remember getting up the courage, but it was hatred that made me have the courage. And I walked in when this one family got up because they had left so much food on their plates. And I just thought, God, I hate you. And they got up and I sat down. I just started eating their leftovers. And that wasn't the only table I did that. And of course, everything got really quiet. I made a lot of people very uncomfortable. This dirty, pregnant girl, until a waitress came with her some crumpled up bills. And she goes, my manager's really mad. You're really going to have to get out of here. And he told me I had to make you do it. And I grabbed the bills out of her and I was like, fine. I was just hungry. And then I got up and left. And I was so mad, F her, F this. And then when the anger subsided, now I'd gotten some food in me, I made it a couple blocks and I broke down bawling because I was so embarrassed at how I treated her. Because I didn't come from that. I actually came from a really good family. Yeah. How could I have done that to her? She doesn't have any money. She's just a waitress. Just a waitress, right? I'm homeless and I'm judging. And then, right. And then but I needed that money. That money got me back at that time, it was enough to get me, you could rent rooms for a little bit. And I I was able to take a shower and I washed my clothes and the thing. And but I was sick of myself. I made myself sick with treating someone like that. And then I didn't have enough courage to go back and tell her I was sorry. And of course, being homeless, things changed. I had to get out, then I had to move over here and I had to do that. And just, that never happened again. But if you're out there, I was really sorry for how he treated you. But I got sick of myself. I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to be, I remember thinking, man, how down did I get that I could be like that? Well, that's not going to happen anymore. And that gave me a lot more fire. I need to get my crap together. I made these bad choices. It was me. And taking responsibility for my own actions and not blaming my mom at that point was transformative. Because
how old are you at this point?
I was about 16 then.
Oh, wow.
See, for you to have the self-awareness at that age, the way that you did, that's huge. That's really,
I was paying bills and doing things by 8. To take care of a household with someone who couldn't take care of themselves. So that was in there too. Like I knew I had to go in there and do this really quick because if the money was in there, then the lights would go out, things like that. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you, you had kids that were ruling at 12 in history and doing so much better than me. But I'm going to say the more responsibility you have to get, it's not necessarily good for the kid, but you can force someone to grow up pretty quickly. And as smart as I was with those things, I was very stupid on other things. Book smarts and then street smarts are two totally different things.
Yeah, they are.
So I might have incredible emotional intelligence, which I do, but then there's other things where, boys, yeah, baby, I love you. Wink, wink. Oh, you do? You love me. No, you dumb girl. That's not right. Like it took me a while to learn that one, and other things like that. Because if you don't have healthy love, somebody tells you love them, you're like, okay, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. It wasn't because, of anything else. It's just, what I had. And, but being empowered to know, and I didn't ever put this into words until I was like in my 40s, but I was like, that's probably one of the biggest things that motivated me is realizing that I can change it. It's because of me and I have some power. And I wish I would have understood it more when it started coming to me, because I think I could have done even more. Right.
Right.
We are all incredibly powerful beings. And I'm in my 50s now, and I still am like, I'm going to be close to getting it sometime soon. But I'm still such a piece of work, like I'm still working on it, but yeah.
Oh, but you're doing so well. You're doing a lot, and you're real service oriented, and that's a big deal, because a lot of people, they want stuff, but they are not concerned with other people, and they'll step over people, and they'll do whatever they feel like they need to, which is wrong, and we shouldn't. People should not operate that way, but some do. And congratulations for you not.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, don't fall into the trap of thinking, but I need money and I need to pay my bills. The other thing of it, all the richest people are awful. They do weird things with children and they're bad, evil. Mm-hmm. That's not true either, right? Yep. So those are the rich people telling you that. Well, you don't want to be a billionaire because then that'll turn you weird. You'll be a Satanist then. Okay, that's smart. Don't shoot for the moon, because if you ever get really successful, it means you crush the backs of everyone else. Well, that is the greatest lie told by the richest people to keep everyone else down, because they want to be good people. I want to be a good person. So, I guess I just have to suffer. I guess I can never just have what have more. Yeah, you can have more, because when you think of money, of what it really is, energy, right? A type of energy. Yep. And I realize this is going to sound woo-woo, but this is coming from someone who is starved, someone who I learned how to sleep during certain times of the month, kind of standing up, because if I sat down anywhere where I was, bugs come to your crotch, right? Because it's that time of the month and that draws bugs or rats or anything else. Like, people don't think about how hard it is for young girls when you're homeless and you don't have access to feminine products. So yeah. I understand some of the most disgusting parts of needing money. And so if I can tell you this, I hope you listen, if you're listening. But when you think about money as something that, and I'm Christian, I'm an Orthodox Eastern Christian, so I'll think, okay, God, whatever you give me, let it flow through me. And if I need to fix my house, then let me pick the right plumber that's not just going to do a good job, but it's going to be great for his family. You see, it passes through me, and then it goes to whoever is working for me, and they need that money to feed their families. I'm not keeping it and hodling it all. What I'm doing is taking it through me for other people. And if my kid needs it, then I'll put it there so they won't have to suffer, or they won't be a burden on the system. But the idea is, there is what is it called when the really rich people, noblesse oblige, right? The idea that, yes, if you do become wealthy or you do become incredibly successful, your burden becomes bigger, because it's not just about you. You are taken care of. Your children are taken care of. But now you must figure out ways to take care of other people, do good works. Yes, you might build a big house, but how many artisans are you going to pay good money to build that? Right? We have things. I live in Galveston, Texas. So we have Henry Rosenberg was a very wealthy Galvestonian. In fact, at the turn of the century, this was the Wall Street of the Southwest. Some of the richest Americans of their time had their mansions here. And we have some of the most glorious Gilded Age mansions here on this tiny island that you've ever seen. Right? We were the first, one of the first places in America, like the second city, to have electricity, to have telephone service. And so the mansions had that. It's amazing here, right? But they built things. We have a library, Rosenberg Library, that is still incredible, you can go to. That was built. He didn't charge anyone. He didn't do anything. We've got all this stuff. So, and what I'm saying is, when you think about being wealthy, when you stop thinking about it just for you, but look what good I could do. I could build an institution for homeless people where I could give them a job, and the job would be garden. I'm just spitballing something I just made up right now. But let's say you want to have gardens for food so people can have really healthy organic food, access to that. You can do all that.
I've always wanted to run a restaurant using homeless people as staff, and to feed other homeless people, and that would be really a lot of fun to put that together. By the way, we're talking with Jennifer, and her last name, Rochelle?
Yes, Jennifer Gligoric, and visit her website. It is superclinicproject.com. And don't you dare go anywhere. We only have another half of the show left, and we're about to touch in on some more important stuff. So stay with us.
And we'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Are you looking for your daily dose of inspiration? Stay connected to all your favorite shows, music, and news with the Brushwood Media Network app. From Positive Talk Radio to Greatest Vibes Unplugged and so many more uplifting voices around the world, everything you need is right in one place. It's easy to use, too. Always available and designed to keep you inspired 24 hours a day. Go to brushwoodmedianetwork.com and download the app, and you will always have Brushwood Media available on your smartphone. Download it now and make inspiration and music and conversation part of your everyday. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin McDonald. Michelle is right there. And Jennifer Gligoric, kind of, sort of, is right there. And did I say that close to being right, Michelle?
You did enough, Gligoric, yes. Depends on how fast you say it, I think.
I said it fast enough that if I screwed it up, nobody would know. But that's okay. That's
You're right.
And to share, her website is Super Clinic Project. And tell us about the Super Clinic Project and how it works. Because you also, by the way, you're a fellow podcaster, and I love that about you.
Yes. In fact, that is what Super Clinic Project is. It's the podcast. So we take regular clinic owners, we turn them into super clinic owners, but really any type of business you have, if it's service-based, you'll get a lot of value from it. But I do a lot of interviews with doctors. I do a lot of interviews with entrepreneurs, because that help people be better entrepreneurs, because if you have a clinic, you also are an entrepreneur. So we help them, and I love it. And I love it because we deal with doctors who are breaking away from our very broken healthcare system, right? And they want to get people well. It's not keeping them in the same, well, just take this pill and then you'll get surgery and, and then bye, like we can get them well, so that's the focus.
Well, and I got to ask you, because you're a podcaster too. And I'm like, how are we doing? We doing okay?
Oh, on this podcast, I'm having a blast. This is so good. But I think that you and Michelle too. Y'all are a good team. So when you have a really good team, that's great.
Well, I spent 20 years finding a good team, and because she hasn't been with me, because 20 years ago she was like 4, and that would have been 6.
Thank
you, Jennifer. Damn, Kevin. I was 6.
But it's one of those things that I've spent a lot of time working on development of her. But before we go into there, I wanted to you are his name is on the tip of my tongue. He is passed now, but he wrote Galveston, the song. Do you remember? Glenn Campbell.
Glenn Campbell, yes. Galveston, oh,
yeah, and it was, and so we are in Galveston, we are in Salt Lake City, we are in Seattle, and we're also in Kenya. And Rochelle, go ahead.
Yes, Samuel says, hello, brother Kevin, sister Rochelle, and guest Jennifer. Receive greetings from Kibera slums in Nairobi, Kenya. We are watching you live from the slums in Nairobi, the second largest slum in Africa, sitting with my team, watching this favorite program, Positive Talk radio show. Proud of you, brother Kevin and sister Rochelle. Kibera is tuned in. And just so you know, Jennifer, Samuel is in Kenya. He is the lead of an organization he has started now that feeds 350 children and has started an education program. And he is letting us know from Kibera Restoring Hope Center that they are tuned in and watching until the end. And he's been here with us every day. And it's one of those things, as we've been having this conversation with you, I'm thinking there's so many times you could have made excuses. Yes, you were angry, of course, like, duh. If you weren't angry, I'd be kind of concerned for you moving forward, because that anger is what pushed you to go forward, right? If you had just been like, oh, well, this sucks and this is who I am, this is my life. No. We get to choose better than that. And Samuel is doing that in Kenya and listening in and creating tips from you, because it doesn't matter really necessarily how specific your situation is. There's something we can all learn from each other. So I acknowledge your anger and how far it took you. And for me, that's a little exciting, because I'm like, you got it, girl. You just stay a little mad, but be nice and loving too.
Yeah.
And by the way, you need to tell the truth about your age. There is no way that you're 50 years old.
I'm 54.
There's no way that you're 54 years old. You look like 30.
Well,
Exactly.
I do have a little filter on, and this is a wig. I don't know if that makes a difference. I will be honest, but yeah, I got it off of Temu and I love it.
You go, girl, because it looks good on you. Never
It
said
I
looks
like
something.
it too. Yeah.
It looks awesome, and congratulations. So on doing the podcast and helping business owners and stuff, because you really are a service oriented person, and you've been that your whole career, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. It was, it started out, I guess, because I was codependent, right? Growing up in an alcoholic household, you're very codependent, right? And so then I just took that into my jobs, and I worked for a lot of people where I was doing everything. Oh, hold on for 1 second.
Oh,
Oh, sorry. There's barking in the background.
Good.
is that your doggy?
We love dogs.
Yes. Unfortunately, in my hubby's home, he's supposed to shut them up, but we have a worker outside the house. So
your dog's
Gotta
protecting
protect
you.
mama.
yes,
What's your dog's name?
I have 2 dogs. I have Sega and Seamus, and it's a Boston Terrier, and then a big old barky German Shepherd, and she is
We love our
protecting me.
shepherds.
Oh, I
she's a
love
good girl.
German Shepherds. They're so smart.
She's 11. She's starting to get kind of slow now. But if we didn't have that little Boston Terrier, he perked her up. We got her during COVID, and my hubby was like, "This is the worst idea ever. What do you mean we're traveling 3.5 hours to look at puppies? Everything's shut down. This is dumb. We don't have the money for that, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, I think that, her hips were giving out. She was 6. And we get the puppy. Halfway home, he's already fallen in love with the puppy. And then within 3 months, they were best friends. And then her hips didn't give out anymore. In fact, they still haven't again. It's like a new lease on life. And I work from home, but I work when I'm working. Like, I work a lot. And so even though I was here, I wasn't playing and doing the things. And she was lonely. And I felt really sad. I had waited 6 years to get her a friend. But anyway. Yeah.
Did you tell your hubby I told you so when he questioned you about all that driving?
Oh, all the time. But he brings it up. He was like, "This was the best, worst decision you've ever made." Yeah.
So he fell in love with the little puppy dog.
Yeah, and he's like, "You're my little man." And then because it's a Boston Terrier and he's so crazy, we call him Derp. He's derping around. He's like, "Come here, little derp." It's so cute.
And that's the thing. And animals can add so much to our lives. They just
do. They do. They're so
Well, and it
sweet.
makes me think, Jennifer, that you saw what your dog was going through. Is it the same kind of sense when you walk into a clinic or when someone comes to you and you see they need help? To be able to see that someone needs help, not just the average person pays attention to, oh, well, yeah, maybe they do need help, but I'm not going to be involved. That's not my circus. I've been starting that lately. I'm just going to stay in my circus.
Stay in your circus. Yeah. Well, my job was to get in other people's circuses. But I think the interesting thing is when you have to really listen, because what they tell you is wrong for business owners is usually not what's wrong. And so it's having to stay quiet and ask the right questions to figure out what's really going on. And usually it has to do with them. Right. And that's a bad thing it's the owner. It's an owner issue. And it's usually an HR issue, even though I deal with data and numbers and sales and marketing, which is what usually they want to talk about, the sales and the marketing. But usually they have the wrong people in the wrong roles. They're paying them the wrong wages and they're not managing them appropriately. Or the biggest issue for small businesses, if they hired family or friends. And that dynamic, they are not managing properly, and it's causing dysfunction. And
it's never a good idea to hire your family and friends.
No, I've seen it work. I've seen husband and wife teams that were amazing, but their boundaries, they were healthy ahead of time.
Right.
And they also treated it different. They cut it off. Like the boundaries you have to have when you are with family, with business, it's like 2 different people. Okay, I'm going to treat you like you're somebody different. You're a business son or business husband. And then when we go home, it's different. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to do this. We can't because it'll be too toxic. I need the safe space. And so do you. Right. And they have to put that in place. right? They have to put it in place, and they've got to be open. You can hire the world's best consultant in the world, but if you're not open to changing yourself and changing your routine, then nothing's going to work, right? Because business is always going to hit up against your own comfort zone. You're constantly pushing to try to fail forward. Failure is inevitable, but you want to fail forward, right?
Very true.
Well, how often, or how many, or what percentage, I should say, what percentage of business owners do they consider themselves a leader, and do they treat their staff and their people like they're building a culture around what they do, or are they just because a lot of times entrepreneurs are scared because they're not making a lot of money and stuff, and so everything is nip and tuck? Are they more worried about just survival on a day-to-day basis, or do they have a long-term goal, and is it that you're helping them with a long-term goal is how they're going to achieve it?
Well,
before you answer that, Jennifer, I want to take this break because Kevin asked you quite the open-ended question. And there's probably a why to that as well, which everyone's like, well, why? So let's take this break, Kevin, and then we come back. I hate running out of time. We've done this all day. We get very, very wrapped up in our conversations because this is good stuff. This is
okay. I'm going to be real brief when I come back. I'm going to think about it.
Waiting for. Yes, just have it processing, think about all the details, and we will be back within a minute.
Chat GPT. No, I'm kidding.
Well, and I was thinking about that because I wanted to play this. Here are some points to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. Some say leadership is about getting the work done, about pushing forward, no matter the cost. But what's the cost of a team with no purpose? What if a single act of support, a single moment of genuine grit could change everything? What if leadership was a catalyst? Because true leadership isn't about being in control. It's about empowering others to find their purpose. It's about leading with passion and igniting the fire in everyone around you, creating a culture of teamwork and common purpose. A true leader finds this culture by enthusiastic purpose and team development, making each team member feel empowered to create, improve, and execute their tasks with genuine passion and a strong belief in the company's mission and focus. In other words, lead with purpose. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Rochelle. That's her right there. My name is Kevin, and Jennifer is with us. She's from superclinicproject.com. And Jennifer, I got to ask you, what did you think of that little point to ponder that we did?
Well, I love it because, I'm an ethical entrepreneurship champion. And so I love that. We have to have our path of purpose. Like, we have a divine purpose in our lives. And it is also, that means that we have a divine responsibility to have the actions that enact it out. And so when you think about that, you had asked me a really good question ahead of time, like, what are small business owners? They're people who've created a job for themselves. They created a job, and then they become their world's worst manager. They don't let themselves take vacation. When's the last time you took a day off? They don't. And they're stuck because they had the job, what they were good at, whether it's a florist or it's an accountant or it's a chiropractor or a dentist or, whatever they're doing, or another coach or consultant. And that's the job they're doing, but they're not leading. They have this idea, right? The idea that fired them up, but they're not enacting that strategy for that idea. What is my actual strategy with this? Am I staying in my comfort zone, or am I using the strategy that I've concocted to get me to the next level? And so I would say that in order to start, if you want to go, well, I want to be an ethical entrepreneur, then I would say, okay, so the first thing I want to know is, why are you doing this? Whatever it is. So let's go back to the florist, right? I'm just going to pick somebody out. Well, I want, I love flowers, and they tell you things, and I want to put color in the world. I want everyone to know that that's available to them. It also reminds them of nature and to go outside, the things that they say. Okay, let's write that down, and let's get it so concise that if somebody asks you what you do, You will say, I bring color to the world. You will no longer say, I'm a florist, because womp womp. Okay. Oh, that's cool. That's neat. That's the end of the conversation for you and all of your staff, whether you have one person there or 50. If I say, well, what do you do, Jane? And she's working at a chiropractor office. And she says, I work for a chiropractor office. I'm like, wrong answer. That's my answer. I help people in San Diego get out of pain so they can live their best life. Yes, ding, ding, ding. That's exactly what you do. Because I want my next question to be, really? Well, how do you do that? And then you talk about your differentiator. Well, how do you bring color to the world? You don't say I'm a florist or I'm a chiropractor. You say, oh, I have deals with, or I work, I'm just making this up, right? I work with the most incredible gardeners in the tri-state area so that I can bring some of the most beautiful flora to, the thing. And it's more cost effective and it's healthy, or whatever it is in your house. I haven't thought about it because I'm not a florist, but, I would say what my promise is. I will get you without drugs or alcohol to be able to move the way you want to move without getting surgery within 3 months. Wow.
Yeah, bringing the purpose to the light. Like,
yes.
Okay, well, what every there's lots of florists. What's the purpose in what you do? And because that's what it's sales, right? It's business. If somebody were to come to me and say, oh, well, what do you do? And I said, oh, I just sell cars to average people. That's not very special. I help somebody change their situation and their state of life by a vehicle that is going to provide them the freedom to get to and from where they please at ease with less stress. Who the hell wouldn't want to buy a car from that person? So,
well, I would just say I give people freedom. If you did that, I would say I give people freedom. Well, how do you do that? Well, we have the best, or I give, lower to middle class people total freedom. How? Well, I'm a provider of the vehicle that can get them anywhere in a price that they love, and we have the best rates. Really? Tell me more. That is a concise thing. So when you get to your divine purpose, right, in ethical entrepreneurship, when you say, I want to be an ethical entrepreneur and I want to work my purpose, once you get to that purpose, that's going to define how you communicate your value to your staff, to the public, what systems that you want to put in place, and what you track. So how would you track? What do you really want? Well, I just want people to love flowers. Well, how do you know if they do that? How will you know? Because there's a way you can track it, right? Well, I guess they'll give me a 5-star review. I guess I'll start getting referrals. I guess this. Okay, well, how many did you get last week? I don't know. Well, we're going to track that this week, and then we're going to see what that is over a period of 6 to 8 weeks. You do not want to have shiny object syndrome. You're not going to look at it for 6 to 8 weeks. You're just going to track, and you're going to get a baseline, and you're going to try to beat it. And then you're going to try to beat it. You are competing against yourself, no one else. The worst thing, you look at everybody else and go, well, that's what they're doing. Well, they're them. People are going to go there because they are them, but people are going to come to you because you're you. So once you start competing only with yourself, then the sky's the limit. It's the best that you can do. And you'll find out very soon if you can do it or if you can't do it, but you have to have a strategy and a system that you follow. And once you get it in place, it's a lot easier than you think, because most people just don't have it. They're not thinking about it. They're going back to working the job they created for themselves.
And so rather than, as an example, tell me if this is good. Rather than when somebody asks me, what do you do? I'm an audio and video producer. I would be better off saying something like, I spread kindness around the world. Mm-hmm. And then they go, you do what?
I spread kindness around the world. In fact, 1.5 million people can't wait to listen to me every single month. And I'm growing that.
And by the way, speaking of which, I can't pronounce that, Rochelle. Would you?
Nyandika Slums Humanitarian Support Initiative Group, which is also a part of Samuel and all the great things he's doing, says, kindly, do you have a YouTube channel so we can share here in Kibera slums of Nairobi, Kenya?
Mm-hmm.
That's for you.
So what would that be? Yes,
that's
where do they
Super
go?
Clinic Project. Just go to Super Clinic Project podcast on YouTube and we'll come right up. If you go to superclinicproject.com, we have the link for you just to click to go straight to our YouTube. I mean, it's literally a one page. I have a very focused site. If you click on me, then you can talk directly to me and my picture, or you can go straight to listen to us. So yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, that is just perfect. And because now you can tell everybody that you have listeners worldwide and you can prove it.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm yeah.
You already are there.
Yeah, I've already been telling people that as soon as I was going on your show. Hello.
She's up to date, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. But we are just so excited to have you. And by the way, I've listened to one or two of your podcasts, and you've done it. You do a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for being here, because you have given us a lot of energy and excitement for the show today, because you brought it into our world, and I want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you for having me and letting me be me, because this is my purpose, right? So I feel like it's the shiny, the shine theory. If you let shiny people come on, then all of our lights just sparkle even brighter, right? And it's great. So thank you for shining so I could be shiny.
We can all be shiny together.
That's right.
Shiny little stars. And I have to say, what you said was so specific, Jennifer. Thank you for allowing me to be me, because you've built boundaries within yourself to understand your own purpose. But you haven't ever shut that down. Whether you were sad one day or mad one day, or you had maybe a lot of I don't know what to do with this happy energy. You allowed yourself to be who you were. And that's how you got to this point. And that's probably the biggest message we could share with anybody is don't try to be somebody else, and don't shut down who you are. Just glow, just gleam, be shiny. Make sure you have boundaries to protect yourself, but not to shut or shelter out the world from you, and be able to have the courage to say, yep, this is me. This is Jennifer. This is Brichelle. This is Kevin. Here we are. We are authentically ourselves, and we're here in front of you. And I think maybe that's all people need. So thank you for sharing that with us today, because that's the whole point.
That's so important. No, that's its own episode. Brichelle, yes. Is telling people they are okay to be them, because we are special snowflakes. I don't care what anyone says. We all are, and you just need to be the best you. That's a very good point, Brichelle. Thank you. Yeah, it is.
Of course. And with that said, you have to come back. Please come back.
Oh yeah, I'll come back.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Well, and because I just want to say that I'm a little older than you guys. As a matter of fact, Samuel, I'm hoping that he'll start calling me my elder brother, Kevin. I don't, he can dispense with that part. But and he says bye. God bless you all, and bye, so thank you so much.
Love you.
But so can you imagine how dynamic you're going to be when you get to be my age?
I don't know. It sounds exciting, right? Because we're all these works in progress. I don't want to know, though. I really want to learn to enjoy the journey. I think I spent too much time so worried about whatever, and I want to learn to enjoy the now so much more in mindfulness, because that just makes it a lot more fun.
It is, and it is, and the journey. It's not about the destination, people. It's about the journey and the fun that you get to create for yourself while you're on this journey, right, Brichelle?
Exactly, Kevin. Let's keep preaching it every day. Maybe one or two people will grasp the idea. But before we end the show with you, Jennifer, please share again all the ways that are best to contact you, if any, besides your website, and then one message you'd like to leave us with for the day.
Okay, guys, just go to superclinicproject.com. If you click on my picture, I am doing a challenge, meaning you get a 15-minute call with me, and I will give you $10,000 worth of value. And it's not a sales call. I will not sell you at all. I will only listen to it. And if it's like, what is my purpose? Then we're going to figure it out, and I'll give you that little purpose statement or elevator pitch, whatever you want to say, that you can just go and light up your world. Okay. You can also learn more about me on my LinkedIn. Of course, if you go to superclinicproject.com, you can click it, or you can also go to TerraArcGlobal.com, and you're going to find a lot of really cool stuff about what I do with the nation of Asgardia, which we didn't talk about, but I am the Minister of Equity and Resources for a digital nation, the only one, and I've been to the moon. So if you click on that, you'll find out what I mean by that.
Oh, you just teased the next episode that you're going to be on, and I'm so excited about that, because we will be talking about that, because I'm really interested in everything that you're doing
right
there.
Now. Yeah,
it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and I thank you for being here. And we've run out of time, sadly, but I could talk to you for hours. But Rochelle, anything before we go?
Nope, just maybe go listen to the beginning of what Jennifer said. The first 5 minutes, 10 minutes of this interview was powerful enough for it to impact anybody around the world. And Jennifer, again, thank you so extremely much for the time that you've shared with us today and the person you are. We believe in you. We're your support system too, and you're a part of our family now. Keep doing what you're doing, because we're right here to back you up. And until next time.
Go to superclinicproject.com, everybody. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got.